Hello. Today I'm going to talk about how to create a scientific graph. Now, in physics, we're going to do a lot of labs that have you recording data all the time. Now, when you record data, a good thing to do is to create a graph so that we can visually see what your data looks like and hopefully pick up on a trend or two. Right? So to start off, let's have a couple of rules that we should always follow when creating a graph. Alright, so rule 1, always have a title. Now, when you create a title, it doesn't have to be complicated or it doesn't have to be creative in any sort of the word. A good rule to follow is have the title be whatever your dependent variable is versus whatever your independent variable is. Okay. Now, if you don't know the difference between a dependent variable and a independent variable, consider this example. If we were to do a graph, or if we were to do a lab where we saw the effect of a temperature on the speed of a reaction, okay? So because in this scenario, the one thing that you can change is the temperature, that's going to be your independent variable. Okay, so the one thing that you can control or that you can change is going to be your independent variable, and your dependent variable is whatever the outcome will be. Okay, because it depends on the independent variable. So I'm going to say speed of reaction. Okay. All right. Now, when we're creating our graphs, one thing that is good to keep in mind is whatever your dependent variable is will always be on your y-axis, and whatever your independent variable is will always be on your x-axis. Okay, so let's create a quick little graph here so we can point out the finer points of making a graph. Okay. I'm going to call this point 0. Right? Now, let's create a couple of things that all graphs must have. Okay? All graphs must have some sort of scale. All right. Whether you go by ones, twos, fives, tens, point ones, whatever the case might be, always have a scale. So in this case, I'm going to go by tens. Okay. And try to keep the spacing in between even. And you must always label, okay? Always label your axes. So in this case, it'll be temperature. And we're going to use degrees Celsius. Okay, those are my units. If you create a graph and you create a label or a title for your axes, units are extremely important. Okay. So now let's create the title up here. This is going to be the speed of reaction. Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure what the units will be for that one, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. Okay. One thing to point out is your units should always be in parentheses. Okay. Just like that. Okay. And from there, you can plot your points. Oops, I forgot to create a little scale here. So let's plot our points. Let's say the first point is here, second point is here, third data point is here, fourth data point is there, fifth, sixth, seventh. Okay, so this is the imaginary data set that we have acquired in this imaginary lab. Now notice how I just plotted the points. Okay. Now what you want to do is always make a line graph. Right? Always make a line graph, and you never ever want to connect the dots on your graph. So at this point it'll be like a XY scatter plot. All right. The reason why we don't want to ever connect the dots is because our data might not always be perfectly in line, or it might not always be so apparent what the trend is. Okay. So from here, we'll go over just a quick review on what all graphs should have. One, all graphs should have a title, right? And that title should be y versus x. Two, you must always have a scale. Okay. Try to keep that scale even. Three, labels. Labels are good. And four, with the labels, give the units. Four, always make a line graph or a scatter plot. Okay. And last but not least, never connect the dots, because of the very reason that your data might not always be 100% in line or a perfect shape or form. Okay, so that's it for now.